are listening to the Chartographers.
Hello, everybody! You're listening to the Chartographers, and of course, as per tradition, we are having the happy hour minisode. We were talking about Fleetwood Mac, and who are we talking about? It's me, Evan Slotty. It's co-creator Taran O'Reilly. Woo! It's someone who happens to know Taran O'Reilly named Ned O'Reilly. I don't know exactly what his role or function is in Taran's life.
I'm the historian.
Oh, he's a historian. That requisite historian. He's got a scraggly old beard. It's great. Guys, we are talking about Fleetwood Mac. We're going to dive into details. And first off, before anything else, y'all realize there's a pair of balls just hanging right there on the cover of Rumors, right? Not a lot of people know that, and I just want to say, if you got the Wikipedia, it doesn't matter, right? Pull open the Fleetwood Mac. There were a pair of balls staring right out there. That pair of balls went double diamond, all right?
But also, you want to look at the crystal.
Oh, yeah, the crystal ball.
On the self-titled album, and then look at it again on Rumors, because there's a little reflection, and you need to look at it, and we'll tell you.
And actually, if you look at the dog's eyes on the cover of Tusk, they look exactly like dog's eyes. All right, guys, we're now going to dive a little bit more into it. First off, we're going to ask the question we ask at the start of every Hour Mini. So, guys, what's the worst Fleetwood Mac song?
I mean, we touched on this earlier. The one at the end of Time. It's Mick Fleetwood
Times.
is narrating.
Yeah,
it's just
he's
God
talking about
awful.
whether God still exists, and no one
Over this
cares.
weird synthy.
And I doubt anybody cared then, and I sure don't care now. But it's almost unfair to call a song from Time, which we already said was not a very good record, the worst song. It's almost more interesting to say, well, what was the worst song from the albums that we ranked? Well, we did rank those. But the albums, how about the albums that were commercially successful? What's the worst song? You know, maybe that. I don't know. I find that a more interesting question.
I mean, Oh Daddy off of Rumors, we kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, and I disagree on that, but you can name that, sure.
I didn't mention this during the main cast, but I hate I'm So Afraid off of Self-Titled.
Okay.
And I really like it when he does it live. It has a whole different energy.
So it's
and
not
again,
it's a bad song.
It's 3 minutes longer, but it completely loses any energy it might have in a studio setting.
Well, and furthermore, I think that it's just kind of, I kind of want to talk about it a little bit because for those who are maybe casual fans, because not sure if you know this, Ned, a lot of people listen to this podcast that may actually have zero idea about the artist in general.
Sure, yeah.
And which is really great, and I love it because it's like we're educating them, but on our story, our jovial, drunken way. But more importantly, talk about the dance and why the dance was significant. And
I'll be happy to.
Before we get into that, though, I want to
because
talk
it might
about,
include the worst Fleetwood Mac song on it. But anyway.
Right, but even better than that, though, why did the dance even happen? I'll tell you why the dance happened, because Bill Clinton got elected into office.
Yep.
And what did Bill Clinton...
More importantly, he used Don't Stop as his campaign song.
So I believe it was during
And that was his re-election, right?
No, it was his initial
actual
election.
1992, 1993.
92, yeah.
And so during the
reelected
inauguration, he's like, well, I use this my campaign song. It would be great if I had these young hippies over here to try and sing it. So the band, who was kind of fractured at the time, came together specifically to do
believe
that.
it was before Time was released.
Yeah,
it was.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and it was about when they were putting together the chain, actually.
Right, the box set.
Yeah.
So they were not necessarily getting along, but they all were supporters of Clinton.
Right.
And so all five of them
when
came
the president
together.
asks you to play your inauguration, you don't really
And plus,
turn down
if
that
you were an adult, a voting adult at that time, and had just gone through 8 years of Reagan and 4 of the senior Bush, Clinton being elected was just, it was a turnaround, a huge turnaround for the country. And a lot of artists who are left-leaning anyway, to see a Democrat finally back in office, to see someone who was talking at all about anything real and
substantive.
That's a lot of why they were willing to come together to sing for him.
Right.
Because they really believed it.
So even though but that was also the original lineup, not necessarily the lineup that did Time, but that was also important because that ultimately led to the dance. Now, a lot of people say that the dance was very much them. It was for money reasons. Like, guys, let's do a big old tour together.
Well, why not?
It's money. Right.
But it was also huge because it was the first time that Lindsay was back with the band since
In about 10 years.
1987.
Yeah.
It was about 10 years. Because the dance didn't come out till 5 years after that appearance at Clinton's.
Yeah.
But because they were all doing other things still.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the dance came out, It was basically a reunion album, is how we felt about it as longtime fans. And so it had enough of the hits on it. Oh yeah, we know these songs. And it had, for the first time, it had the marching band live.
Oh God, I
on
love
Tusk
that.
and Don't Stop,
Oh, my
which
God,
was
I
a
love
selling
that.
point.
That was
Yeah.
so awesome to hear the way they do that. Even
And
though
then-
it feels very conventional, but it's like it's so fun to do them doing it there. Like there's just a
Yeah, and I think the live version of Tusk on the Dance has a huge punch up of energy that the original is sort of missing, just from a purely dynamic standpoint.
yeah.
I get that, although it's missing some of the lyrics, which disappoints me.
Yes, no, it definitely
they
is.
skirt
though.
around some of the lines, and I miss them.
And
It's
also,
basically in the second
on the
episode.
original Tusk recording, all three of them are singing those lead vocals, which
And
is
I
why
don't
it
think
sounds
Christine
so
sings it
weird.
live, yeah? On the Dance?
On-
Is she the one missing?
Lindsay sings it by himself.
Right. They don't, yeah. That's what's really missing, is the vocal harmony. And it may just be because he said, yeah, I'm going to do this with the band, with the live marching band, and I'll work with them,
Or
and maybe
it was
maybe-
one of those moments where it actually is just Lindsay multi-tracking himself and he's singing in weird voices.
In the
'cause
original?
that's
Yeah.
totally something he does.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you
Right.
listen to also on Tusk, Save Me a Place, which we didn't
Yeah.
talk about, but it's a really fun,
Yeah.
pretty little love
Slow
song.
but lovely song.
Slow
Yeah.
but lovely song. He recorded it totally by himself. And at first you're like, oh, these are some nice harmonies. And then you realize that, oh no, Lindsay's singing lead vocal, Lindsay's singing bass harmony, and Lindsay is sounding like a girl on purpose to sing the high harmony.
Yeah.
Because you think it's a woman,
And
and
he's
then you're like,
probably playing
well,
the
it's
drums.
definitely
What about
not Christine.
What about the new songs on the Dance?
So the
Oh,
other
yeah.
thing about the Dance is that the hook was, oh, they're back together,
Right.
and we've got some live versions to some of the hits, and and because they also had a video, which really, the whole concert was a
The
video,
DVD, yeah.
the DVD,
VHS,
so
yeah,
they were selling that too.
yeah.
But then once you got there, you got Big Love, which was just astonishing.
The new version of
The
Big
new
Love
version of
on
Big
Dance
Love
is...
was astonishing, and we didn't know. Wait, that was under that.
Yeah.
You know, like
That was
that
on
could have been
tape?
his
No
demo
way.
version,
Right,
and then
yeah.
he went into the studio and added all that other stuff. But it was like stripped down, and in the
And
90s,
the finger picking.
Yeah, and the finger
And-
picking's just
At a time when because for me, I feel like the finger picking on "Say You Will" was him exploring
Yeah.
what he had, what was received incredibly well on the Dance, the
Right.
finger picking of Big
Yeah.
Love, which he'd always done the finger picking, but in on his guitar solos or like on Never Going Back Again, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
You can follow it more easily, and it's a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like bouncy and sort of sing-songy.
Yeah.
Whereas on this, it has some real drive
Grit
and
and
grit
yeah.
behind it.
well, and that for me made me recognize, and then I started going backwards. Oh yeah, that was there already. How fucking good a guitarist Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah.
Right.
In
All
fact,
the-
I thought a lot about this. Lindsey Buckingham, for me, his strongest suit is as an arranger of music.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then his second strongest suit is as a guitarist. And his third suit is as a vocalist, and his fourth
A
strength
songwriter.
is as a songwriter.
I could.
And it's sad because he's so good at those other things.
Right.
You want his writing to be better, but it really just isn't.
Now, we did
Yeah.
also want to talk about how following the Dance, following the tours, Stevie became real good friends with Sheryl Crow. And for a while there was the talk about, guys, after Christie McVie left, of like, guys, what if we brought in Sheryl Crow as like the new... And then I think it was one of
That
the
would
things...
have sold the record.
Yeah,
though, that's for sure.
Mick was like all for it. He's like,
Yeah.
yes. And Stevie, of course, friend of Cheryl. Cheryl actually
They were all
co-writes
for it.
and sings on her album, Planets of the Universe, wherever the fuck
And
that
Cheryl's
was.
no youngster.
Right,
She's
exactly.
not as old as these guys, but she's about 50 now, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
But it was Lindsey Buckingham who's like, what's she going to do? She's going to come out there and sing her Christie McVie song? She's not going to sing her own
Lindsay's an
songs. I'm
American.
telling you that
He didn't
right
talk
there.
like that. Is this
what-
John McVie's opinion?
Yeah. Listen.
That sounds like John.
I-
Thank
Listen,
you. I was going to call him on that too.
Listen, but Lindsey Buckingham, he also has been around long enough, and I would believe that he, like Madonna, he adopted a British accent later on just because of like.
He didn't at all. So
This is how I'm
fuck
viewing
you.
Lindsey
But
Buckingham.
anyway,
No, really, Lindsay is so California. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand why you might want to bring in Sheryl Crow, but I was really thinking this was you and me, Stevie.
that
You know, I was thinking this was
good
you and
Lindsay.
me.
But the other thing,
Finally
that's
getting
what
back
Lindsay
together
sounds
and doing
like.
the
The
thing
thing
we
that I-
might have done back in 1975 had we never even joined this band.
But the
That's
thing
what
I
I'm
find
thinking.
is so weird is the fact that, like, this is a band that is used to changing
Yeah, right.
songwriters over time, that it's just like, so Sheryl Crow will bring in a new element to that.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with
It would have made
Or,
sense.
like,
It was
yeah,
part of the formula is
Exactly.
when one songwriter leaves, you bring in another one.
Exactly. It's just
Replace
like,
it, yeah.
but there were so many Christie McVie songs, they're left at deficit of just like, who's going to sing them? Yeah.
We moved on from the dance.
Yeah.
We
What
weren't
else?
done yet.
Sorry, yeah.
What else
no,
you
I
wanna
was
say
just
about the
talking,
dance?
Yeah.
We were gonna talk. We kept being like, and then they were doing new songs,
Little
but we
Pretty
didn't
Little
talk
Devils,
about
whatever that's called.
how bad the new songs were because they were really bad.
Except Bleed to Lover.
Bleed to
Bleed
Love
to Love is a brilliant song.
Which
which
they later
was then
did on Say You
included
Will,
on Say
right.
You Will 5 years later.
Yeah.
But
Temporary One.
Temporary One by Christie McVie is a garbage little song. The verses are like kind of fun, and you're like, okay, I can
And then it
buy
really
this
makes
going.
no sense.
And then it makes no sense. It's a total mixed metaphor. It doesn't rhyme. The chorus is too short. It doesn't resolve melodically.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's
things
just
going
a bad song, and they should have just been like, Christine, no, we're not doing this.
on. And Stevie's new offering was called Sweet Girl.
Sweet Girl, yeah.
And I can't even remember it. And I've
It's
heard the record a lot. but I
bad.
can't even remember it.
It's real bad.
And then there was that Pretty Little Devils.
And
or
then My
Tiny
Little Demon
Devils.
was the other
My
song,
Little
isn't it?
Demons was
Yeah.
a Lindsay song, and it was
It was
Again.
mostly about effects.
really,
Yeah.
really just
Not
not useful, which is why they did
Not
not.
useful.
They did not include that one on
Right,
Say
right.
You Will. You
Right.
might notice
Which
because
they could've.
probably everyone panned it after
Yeah.
the dance came
Yeah.
out.
I know.
And it's also really annoying because on the audio of the dance, they include all of their like talking at the
yeah.
end of the song before it.
Yeah.
So like at the end of Say You Love Me, which has a really fun
Oh, and that's a great version of that. too.
Yeah.
Talk about a
Yeah.
reinvention.
a total.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they
With
that's
the
the one where they
banjo
add the
and the
banjo
harmonies,
and John McVie's singing for the first time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and she's like, I'd like to introduce my husband, John McVie, for this.
Ex-husband, she
Ex-husband, yeah.
clearly says.
I know.
At
But and
that
some people,
point, it had
well,
been
some people in the
35
audience
years.
laugh at that too. They're like, like
Yeah.
it's also like, oh, Christian McVie's making
There's a reason we
jokes.
have the same last name.
yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
Anyway, at the end of
they include the speech, Lindsay's terrible, boring introduction for terrible My Little Demons at the
Yeah.
end of the Say You Love Me track, and it's like a minute and a half long.
Yeah.
Thankfully, most music players now you can pick an end point for a song and it'll just stop
Well, this was
playing
97,
Yeah.
98.
But it was
Technology was different.
It was just like, if you're gonna do a live album, cut the fucking talking.
well,
Like,
if
really,
I mean, if the talking's there, at least make it interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody
You know,
decided
yeah.
that was interesting. They were just incorrect.
Yeah.
So, can we move on from the dance stuff?
Listen, that's not talking about the dance. God damn it.
Well, because I want to bring up.
Oh god.
Do you have more to say about the dance?
No, I was gonna mention the 1980.
Yeah,
live
I want to
album.
bring up that the 1980 Fleetwood Mac live album is every bit as good and in some ways better than the dance. I have a visual image here that you can't see, but it's a blurry picture of the band on the
He
front.
has it on vinyl.
But
Yeah, he's holding it in front of my face. Even
they
though it's a
definitely
podcast.
did. They definitely did a bunch of hits and did them kind of like you knew they'd be. And Lindsay gets to indulge himself on Not That Funny, which is like the 8th best of his 9 songs from Tusk, but he does an 8-minute version of it here and gets to play around. But more interesting to me was that there were several songs that had never been done anywhere before, which they recorded like at sound checks. So they did Fireflies, which is a beautiful Stevie Nicks song. It was actually a single that didn't go anywhere, but it's wonderful.
Wasn't it a single from this?
It was a single from this.
Yeah,
This is the
right.
only place
Yeah,
it
yeah.
appears. It doesn't. It's not on any other
And
collection.
here's the thing, I'll give credit to the band. They actually did a really nice thing, and a lot of other bands do it too, where they have songs they just keep on deck for a while. On the and they don't record them until way after. In fact, on the deluxe double disc edition of Rumors that they put out a couple years ago, you can hear us like a solo piano acoustic
demo version
of Planets of the Universe that Stevie would later do on her 2003 solo effort.
Okay.
Which is like really cool
I
that
don't
she
know.
just kept it around for so long.
The other new ones from live were One More Night, which was an okay track from Christine,
Meh.
and then a passion of Lindsay's, which was The Farmer's Daughter, which is a Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys song,
Yeah.
where the three of them sing in harmony, and it's almost all vocal. There's a little bit of thumping behind them.
It's beautiful, but I actually prefer if you get the deluxe version of Tusk, the 2-disc version, CD version of Tusk.
Yeah.
They have a
Studio.
demo of Farmer's Daughter, and it's beautiful.
It's even better.
And
Okay,
it's very like rumbling. It's pretty lo-fi, but I love it. And you didn't mention, although you're thumbing your fingers on it, the best thing to come off the 1980 live album is Don't Let Me Down Again, which I've listened to about 80 times.
And it's from
love that
originally
song.
the album we haven't talked about yet, and Ned left at home today, so he doesn't have the vinyl copy in his hands, but it is Buckingham Nicks from 1974.
Oh, that's a Buckingham Nicks.
It's from Buckingham
The
Nicks,
album they put out prior to joining
which for
Fleetwood
me is a
Mac. Right.
masterpiece. There's two instrumentals on it, which you can kind of go, but as intros to the other songs are okay. But beyond the two instrumentals, there's 8 other songs that are outstanding. They're all really, really good songs, really, really well produced, really well played, really well sung. And it's Stevie and Lindsay when they were happy together, which is a vibe you don't quite get anywhere else. It's a great, great record and very hard to find, isn't it, Taran?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking for it for a while.
I don't think it is commercially available on CD.
It is not. It has never been released
Which
on
is
CD.
like, what the fuck?
And I don't know why.
These two people have sold...
Are superstars.
Are superstars.
They could do anything they want with it, and
Yeah.
they've done nothing
They have
with
done nothing with it. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Taran, you were telling me the story of who someone was upset. Stevie Nicks was upset that she wasn't allowed to include Silver Spring.
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
This is... So
yeah,
the
on
reason...
The dance.
She wanted to put it on her own greatest hits album because Fleetwood Mac had never done anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
She asked Mick, and he said, "No, I'm saving it for this box set that we're doing next year." And she quit the band over that.
And that's why she's not on time.
Yeah.
Is because
She was
Mick
done.
would not give her... And
Her own song.
And she was like, I've sold 20 million records on my own as a solo artist.
Yeah.
And you need me in Fleetwood Mac to sell albums. And she was totally right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because as soon as she was gone, nobody bought the next record.
Nobody gave a shit.
Nobody.
Like that's why I had no problem trashing Time when we came up
Yeah,
to it
I
because
guess
it is.
It was just But we did that on the other
It's its
other
own
half.
things. All right.
But yeah, there were some great songs on that live album. Now along those lines, they put out a greatest hits in like '87 or '88,
Yeah.
which had all the hits up till that point, but nothing. Like why didn't we put Landslide on there, or Songbird, which were
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing-
huge staples of the live show.
Yeah, radio staples, not singles.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
But instead, they added 2 new studio recordings, which were really bland. One
You're
was
right.
released as a
Well,
single
'cause
by
they
Christie
were-
McVie, and it was bland. And
Wasn't
the other
it
was a Stevie Nicks
actually-
song that was bland.
It was in 1990. So it was... they
That
already,
release?
Yeah.
No, I think it was earlier. But I
No,
got it.
because it has As Long As You Follow, which
Yes.
which has Rick Vito and...
That's what I'm saying.
Billy
They
Burnett.
already knew those guys, and they were already playing with them because Lindsay was leaving the band. It was after Tango in the Night.
What year was it?
Well, can I read it? I think it's 1988.
Yeah, that says
Yeah.
1988.
So that's after Tango in the Night, but before Behind the Mask. So the point is they were already working with those guys. You're right.
Yeah.
Because there's another song that came out of that era that's only available on the chain, the 4-disc box set, called Paper Doll. It's
Oh, yeah,
a
that
really
was actually
catchy
kinda
Stevie
fun.
Nicks tune.
Yeah.
It's the best of the hitherto not available songs on that album.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not Lindsay. It's Rick Vito singing with her.
Yeah.
And and it's a great little pop tune. Catchy
So
tune.
Taran,
What?
what's your favorite Fleetwood Mac story?
My favorite Fleetwood Mac story?
Yeah.
Ooh,
About the band.
That's hard.
you've told so many already.
I
know.
know. Yeah, you told. I mean, the thing is, again, and that's one of the things about this is a band where, as much as we talk about the music and as great as it is, the drama, the behind-the-scenes fuckery, like it is just Mick Fleetwood is an asshole. Is the long story short of a lot of it. So you need to know that. But you know,
yeah, and I mean, especially in the early days, or at any point, I mean, there was, I forget which album he was on, but there was one guitarist that they hired. He contributed 2 songs. They decided his vocal color wasn't right. I think it was on Mystery to Me.
Back there.
Yeah, Bob Weston.
Yes.
Bob Weston.
Yeah.
And he put 2 songs on an album, and then they fired him because they didn't think he was right. And there were multiple guitarists. Like, I'm pretty sure Danny Kirwan did not quit. I'm pretty sure that he was fired because isn't he who slept with Mick Fleetwood's wife?
Yeah.
With Jenny Fleetwood.
Yeah. So Danny Kirwan was in the original lineup of Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green. He was very much a melodic guitarist.
Yeah.
His especially early on, his credits on the album were all instrumentals.
Yeah.
And then he kind of grew as a songwriter. But yeah, he was fired in 1970. So, okay, this is my favorite Fleetwood Mac story. He was fired in 1972 while they were on tour because he slept with Jenny Fleetwood.
Right.
And Mick was like, I can't perform with this man anymore. I never want to see him again in my life.
Yeah.
And so they cut the tour short, and then their manager hired 5 people.
Fleetwood Mac.
Hired 5 people to continue the tour under Fleetwood Mac because he was like, well, I'm the manager. I own the name. And
also we have these commitments.
And he also didn't, but he didn't tell people going to the shows. So people showed up expecting to see Fleetwood Mac.
The real Fleetwood Mac.
And it was just these 5 random people playing their songs.
That's amazing.
And so that's obviously got around, and the rest of the tour was canceled because no one wanted to see that.
And ironically, about 20 years later, that sort of happened with the Time version of the band. Dave Mason was an old hand. He had been in Traffic and had a hit by himself. You know, he was an old British rocker.
Oh, yeah.
So they brought him in, and it's Becca Bramlett, who
That's
we talked
the
about
other
before.
weird part about...
But it wasn't really Fleetwood Mac because it didn't have any of the 3 singer-songwriters that anybody wanted to hear.
Christine, didn't it?
No.
Oh, Christine had already quit by that point?
Yeah, she contributed the songs to the album because they were ready to go, but she didn't want to tour. And so they toured without her. They toured with these other people.
I didn't even know she wasn't on that tour.
No Christine, no Stevie, no Lindsay, and nobody came. And nobody bought the record
loves
they were
Mick.
promoting.
All those Mick groupies right there.
Yeah.
Guys, what is the best the best Bob Welch era Fleetwood Mac album?
Album? I can only name a song that I like.
Bare Trees, I think, is pretty...
Yeah, you've said that, and I'm not sure I agree. I think I have to spend more time with it, which I am planning to do. I do want to spend more time with this early era. I think I would say Mystery to Me.
I mean, there's a lot of... Christine brings some really nice textures to it that the band previously...
Because Hypnotized is actually a really fun song.
Great song.
Yeah.
And you may not be aware, while their version was played on AOR radio, it actually became a hit single for the Pointer Sisters in about 1979.
Yes.
They do a very nice version.
Yes. That's right.
And, Bob Welch hopefully made some royalties off of that.
Let's also forget Pointer Sisters also had a country hit, too, back in the day. Too.
I also have a really interesting Fleetwood Mac fun bit of information.
Throw it out there. Drop it on the table.
They were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay.
And like many other artists before them that had tons of lineup changes, they got to choose which members were included. And so, with the Grand Funk Railroad, or what's that? The psychedelic, what's that band called?
Grand Funk Railroad is a band.
Grand Funk Railroad, yeah. They inducted like all 15 people that have ever been in the band because they were just like, let's just do that. Fleetwood Mac did not. Fleetwood Mac did the main 5, obviously. Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, Christine McVie, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham. And then they included the original lineup, Jeremy Spencer, Peter Green, and Danny Kirwan. And they did not include Bob Welch. Because after Rumors was a success...
Are you sure that Bob Welch was still alive at that time?
He was. He died in 2012.
Okay, all right. And when were they inducted?
In the mid-2000s, I believe it was after Say You Will.
Yeah, because remember, you're eligible after your first single comes out. It's been 25 years since.
Got it, okay.
But, so, in the late 70s, after Rumors was a huge success, Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, and Christine McVie renegotiated their contracts and got larger royalty sums from these 5
Earlier
albums,
records.
Future Games, Bare Trees,
That Bob Welch was on.
Penguin, that Bob Welch was on. So they were making more money than Bob Welch off of records that Bob Welch contributed most of the songs to, but because he wasn't in the band anymore, he wasn't part of those negotiations. So he sued the 3 of them for the money that he had been missing out on. And he won.
Yeah, that
because
makes sense.
he totally, because that was their fucking fault for not including him in that. They really should have.
But that's why they didn't invite him to the Hall of Fame, right?
Right, so they didn't include him in the Hall of Fame because then there was bad blood between them.
Yeah.
Which I just think is a fascinating... But he also... he wasn't in the commercially successful period of the band.
True.
But he carried the band during that period.
There would not be a Fleetwood Mac were it not for Bob Welch. Like they
wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, and he wound up having a couple of big hit singles, one of which was Sentimental Lady, which was a remake from Bare Trees, and included Christie McVie's very prominent vocal echoing on it.
Yeah.
That was a top 10 hit. And
actually, I wonder if the lawsuit was during the early 80s then, because I know that was like 1979 that he was doing his solo record.
78,
yeah, something like that.
It was after Rumors.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the point. It was like, oh, this guy used to be in.
Right.
And so it was like,
formerly Fleetwood Mac.
Other Fleetwood Mac connections, and they bought it.
Yeah,
totally. So he had a hit record. His timing was right. So I'm going to put out a record now while my old band is big, because then people will connect me, and it worked. Can I go to my favorite?
Yeah,
story.
Please. Wrap it up with your favorite Fleetwood Mac.
This is what I just saw recently because I've done some video watching.
Yeah.
There's a great, apparently it's on some DVD release from Tusk or something, but it's the session where they're recording Angel, which I think is a great song. Stevie Nicks is on record from that era, at least, saying that was her favorite song to sing live. She loved it. She was trying to write a rock and roll song because all of her songs were so quiet and contemplative and mysterious. She wanted it, and she said, and it got darker and darker as she worked on the lyrics, but that the rhythm of it and the feel of it was always, and she felt like a rock singer when she sang it, and that was a change for her.
Yeah.
She had sung rock before that, she just didn't recognize it.
Rhiannon.
But, Rhiannon, for example.
Yeah.
So in the session, they show her recording her vocals, and they keep stopping and starting. And one of the reasons is she goes off the melody. Because she's never been a great singer, she's a stylist.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a great range either. But she does write the song, so it's like, well, if you wrote the song, you should think. So Lindsay, as producer, basically, stopped her and took her aside. She stood at the piano, and he was playing the song on the piano.
Right, because they were trying to get harmonies down.
Trying to get the harmonies down, and she kept going off the melodies. And no, I'm singing this lower part, and you want to stay there, right? Unless you want to rewrite the melody. And she kind of laughs it off. And it was just this great little give and take. And again, you talk about Stevie Nicks not sounding real smart. She doesn't there either. Yeah. And yet she wrote this beautiful song with this very interesting lyrics. But she can't hold the melody unless Lindsay helps her do it.
Right. Which is if you listen to on 1980 Live, on The Dance, and any live recordings that you might find on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a Fleetwood Mac in Boston album too.
Yeah. She doesn't sing the melodies on the verses.
Yeah, she stylizes
She sings whatever the hell she wants. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That she, the only reason she's singing a consistent melody on the recordings is because the band was like, people will not follow this song if it doesn't have a repetitive melody phrase. A repetitive melodic phrasing.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, the reason why I don't own their live albums is because I've learned something over time, is that when you're buying them, you're buying them. And it's just not.
And when you're buying them,
then you're listening to them. That's what it is. So guys, listen. Thank you so much for being here. I really. And if you didn't listen to the last podcast, that joke didn't make sense. But trust us, it's great. Thank you so much for being here, Ned. I appreciate you showing up here.
Absolutely.
Taran, as always,
so
guys.
Much fun.
You should probably listen to some Bob Welch solo records and make him feel better. He's dead, but still, it's a staple appreciated. Leave the party to Chartographers. Keep listening, because you know that we'll be Facebook, Twitter. We don't have that yet. Still, all right.